The boroughs are New York City. The burbs are everywhere else. Real estate is the ultimate game of risk and reward. It's the biggest investment most people ever make. Fortunes are made over a lifetime and lost in a day. And we're not playing with monopoly money. How do you stay ahead? Who's buying? Who's selling? And why? What do they know? We want the truth. You need an edge. Boroughs and Burbs is your secret weapon, giving you the insider knowledge and strategies you need to succeed in the high-stakes world of real estate. From Palm Beach to Palm Springs, Manhattan to Malibu, we press the experts to expose the pain, find the deals, and occasionally predict the future. That's Boroughs and Burbs, Thursdays, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Because everyone can make money in real estate.
Welcome, everybody. Boroughs and Burbs, Season 5, Episode 186, The Chinese Market. Roberto, 5 years it's taken us to do a show on the Chinese market. What's wrong with us? Everybody wants to know, when are the Chinese, what are they buying? Are they buying more? Are they buying less? Where are the Chinese? And it's taken us 5 years to get here. Roberto, I think you're on mute.
I agree with you. And it's a huge sector of our marketplace, or has been notoriously.
All right, let me do a little bit of housekeeping first. I'm going to hit the share button and show you that Boroughs and Burbs, you can find it at boroughsandburbs.com. You can see last week's episode 185 on apartment complex investing, and before that, Boca Raton new development. I want to thank our sponsor at Grace Farms. You find them at gracefarms.org. 80 acres, New Canaan. Go and have a cup of tea with Frank. And you can bring some of the famous Grace Farms teas and coffees home with you, and you can give them to your clients. Our guests today, Charles Hawkins, Julia Jiang Hawkins, in New York, experts in the Chinese buyer, and we have a lot of questions for them. I want to call your attention to the RobertoCabrera.com. You'll find the Roberto Cabrera market report. Are you positioned for the turn? You got to find it in order to learn more about the turn. You've got to go to RobertoCabrera.com. I'm John Engel of the Engel team in Connecticut, and you'll find me at theengelteam.com. And without further ado, I'm going to hit. Welcome, Julia. Welcome, Charles. So glad to have you on the show.
For having us, John and Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
So I guess let's start at the beginning. How long have you been focused on what we're calling the Chinese market? And by that, I mean Chinese buyers in America. How long have you been focused on that? And how did you come to focus on it in the first place?
So Charles and I, we have started at a Halstead. And at that time, I started, well, Charles already a broker for like 10 years, over 10 years. I was a new broker. So we started learning the local market, Manhattan market, learning all these condominiums, co-ops, you know. And at that time, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
20 years ago.
We've been focused for 20 years on the Asian market, probably.
But that time was not really the ultra wealthy, rich Chinese come to Manhattan to purchase. That was local Chinese customers started buying small properties.
Yeah, we were doing advertising in something called the World Journal, and it was a very effective way to get Chinese buyers back in the early aughts.
That was earlier how we started to work at the two individual brokers, two individual agents. But that time also how the knowledge has been learned through the process. We work with buyers buying co-ops, we work with the sellers selling co-ops. So not only condominiums, not only new developments, not only new constructions.
So 20 years ago, you relied on the world press, but now you've got to reach out, you've got to reach across the ocean and find them in China. That's changed, right?
So yes, we either find them or they found a way finding us.
Can I just know, in the early 2000s, I was working with a Chinese buyer and they bought a condominium here. And she said to me, she's a very sweet woman. She's like, we're coming and we're going to come hard. You wait. China is on the rise. And sure enough, the influx of Chinese buyers really expanded.
When? What years?
2002 to 2005, 6 is when this was happening. And what I'm curious, if Julia and Charles can kind of give me a sense, how did that, just from a standpoint of volume, where did it peak and where did it come off and where are we now? Just before we get a little bit more granular.
That's a really good question.
Mhm.
You want me to answer that?
Sure. I mean, I think that when it,
Mhm.
I think that, yes, go ahead, please.
So that's the earlier 2000. When your clientele tell you they are coming, that's a perfect timing. I can, in both countries. New wealthy Chinese buyers, they were ready to start to diversify their portfolio, their investment overseas. And United States have the EB-5 program at that time. So when she's telling there are more coming, so she's the pioneer, she's the earlier adventurers. She realized it sooner than other people. When it's gotten peak actually was 2010, 2009, 2010, 2011, 12 until 2016.
Yeah, 2016 would be.
That period is like the peak of the wealthy, super wealthy Chinese customers come over. So to answer your question, there's 3 phases. That was a peak. And later there was like after peak. And then there's after pandemic. So there's 3 phases so we can, relating to our whole conversation.
Characterize after pandemic. So we had peak, pandemic, and then what happened?
I would characterize it as the F20 crowd. A lot of the children of these wealthy Chinese families were getting into Ivy League schools and looking to go to Stanford, to MIT, to Harvard, to out to UCLA. It's anywhere there was a great school. We got very wealthy Chinese families buying homes for their children to live in and for the family to come meet and have holidays.
For 4 years? Are they intending to buy it, use it for 4 years and flip it?
Yes, they're parking money for at least 4 years, and they're using that as a place for their child to stay during those 4 years.
So
and perhaps renting it or selling it at the end of that period. Yes.
It's all individual, different families' decision. But we all have experienced 2010 to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, that period of time. We see that Chinese buyers, they were accounting for 20 to 25% as international buyers in New York City, in Manhattan. We're not even looking at the data for California. That's another huge data. That was a peak of that season. So after pandemic, there was 3 years restriction between the 2 countries. Nobody can travel. Even right now, there are limited flights, right? So after pandemic, immediately, of course, shutting down for 3 years. And then after that 3 years, the door opened in Shanghai. We all know that a few months, that 6 months, that 1 year, that got more people coming in to US start purchasing because they realized they want a more stable policy, more open-minded environment to live in. Before they were hesitating, are we going to buy in Europe? Are we going to buy in New York? Are we buying in California? But it doesn't matter. As long as we can get out, we have the funds ready, let's buy it. So that was the, post-pandemic realization or awakening.
Does the door to America start in New York City? My kid, I'm Chinese. My child is applying to colleges and universities in the U.S.
Yes.
They could end up in any number of places. Do I actually start calling real estate agents in Philadelphia because my child might go to Penn? Do I call people in New Haven because he might go to Yale? Or do I start with a relationship in New York and start with a New Yorker and then branch out into the rest of the country?
We've experienced both.
Every day we like for the past decades, we experience this all the time.
Right.
So depends on each family's decision. Families, Chinese family like to go to the city where they have their friends there to be closer to them, either to rent or to purchase. But some families, they like to stationed in the center city, like Manhattan, because there's direct flight come over here. And then from here, they can go to Connecticut to private boarding schools. And they can take a train to Boston or they can fly to Boston, but they're positioned in the city. And they want to experience the city well during their visit. And during holiday season, their boarding school kids have a home to come back to in the city.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the decision making in the families is generational. So you have the grandparents concerned about one of this set of issues, the parents are concerned about this set, and then the children are concerned about lifestyle. You know, so it's
It's
a family decision.
Yes,
Can-
but
Can we just go back to deal flow?
Sure.
Over the last year leading up to, say, April, when we've just had this, now the new tariff situation is really kind of a dust up that's happening. Up until that point, was the deal volume growing or was it contracting? And then now, I mean, even as of 3 hours ago, Marco Rubio is saying that the US is going to revoke Chinese visas aggressively. And
Yeah.
have you heard any just initial thoughts from people of, wait a minute, is this should we be going or not, or should we be buying there or not?
Sure.
it's ongoing with me even on daily basis. I have a student who school of visual art. We almost landed at a $2 million property deal, and overnight the decision is still on hold right now. And then I have another customer. We're ready to pull in a penthouse. Okay, the both are new construction, new developments. And then the moment Harvard situation happened last Friday, the whole family in Asia is watching TV every moment. What's going on? Is my family, my children can go to Harvard or not? So I have at least two at this moment, big deals on hold, just because those.
And how
And
long do you think? I mean, we haven't been able to resolve this in the last few. If I was a seller and you were on the other side, I'd be nervous about how long are you going to ask me to hold that property for you? I'd be
So-
nervous.
Yes, of course we are. Not only seller nervous, buyers themselves nervous. I might be able to coming back after the summer, right? The school just off early May. They were left, they gone, but now they don't know can they come back or not. And so both cases just happening for last month until ongoing every day this moment. And as a broker, we are worried too. That's right there is about $10+ million deals we left on the table.
Yeah.
But for the family, how bad they feel.
Oh, the uncertainty. The kid got into Harvard, which is amazingly difficult to
Okay,
do. And now they don't know if they're going to be able to actually attend. You know, it's
It's so much uncertainty. It's like everyone is worrying about it.
uncertainty is killing the market.
Let's say we solve that uncertainty. Do they show up with a bag of cash, or is there ever financing involved? I mean, what's the level of international financing where they say, well,
It's not
I've
a
got
bag of
mortgage
cash.
contingency?
It's family wealth, and they
Right.
transfer the family wealth.
Always at the $1 million level and the $10 million level? Always?
Not always, but I would say most of the time, it's a significant amount of their net worth that they're moving to the United States because they feel like it's a safe investment. It's a certain place, but as uncertainty grows here, it muddies those waters. So they're less likely to grab all their generational wealth and put it here. They're going to find another place for it. So
And what other, if the alternative is not to come here,
right.
the decision is not to come here, do they go to London?
Yeah, I think it's UK. Try to get into Cambridge or Oxford and
Mhm.
try to go those angles. I think if it's this particular demographic we're talking about,
Right.
Also, to answer Roberto's question, the transactions has been slowed up to April.
Significantly?
Has tremendously, yes, significantly slowed, yes.
Wow.
So, and the tariff that just started this year. There's more on, on hold. I had another customer actually in February, early March, say, hey, I'm coming back, I'm buying another property in my building because it's a new building. And I said, oh, now 2 weeks earlier, I sent her a listing. I said, hey, something just came up in our building. Oh, my family had decided we're going to withdraw our decision on buying another one. So we are every day we're we are affected.
by our building, she means the developer's building at 277 Fifth, where she sold 40 apartments. Okay, and some representing the buyers, some representing the developer.
But also a lot is from the neighborhood new developments, Manhattan new developments.
Nomad is kind of one of the areas
and
we work
all
very
those
heavily.
areas.
I have
Basically-
I have a Chinese client here, and I want to tell you because this is a different kind of client. This is a client who came to Queens, New York, because there's a significant Chinese population, and I'm going to say she came 10 years, 20 years ago, and she's decided to move out to New Canaan, Connecticut, because of the schools, and she wanted to provide a great opportunity, a great school opportunity for her kids, and her kids became, and you know what? That's kind of risky, right? Because you move from a very Chinese environment in Queens out to Connecticut, and there's not that many Chinese. I say, how do you connect with others? And she showed me on her phone. There's a great big WhatsApp group, and they all compare notes. Oh, who do you use for real estate? Who do you use for banking? Who do you use for this? So they still stay very connected out here. She's gone and bought a house. She's bought a condo. She started a business. She bought another business, moved a business, all in New Canaan, and asked me, how do I get into the New Canaan Country Club? Because my daughter is a phenomenal golf prodigy. I have to say, no moss grows under her feet. She is a go-getter.
Amazing.
My question is, what is the tariff? What is the current policy decisions doing to people like that who are already here? Are they discouraged and going back? Are they doubling down in Manhattan?
So another major force of purchasing right now, we have experience from, for last a few months. A lot of buyers, they already here.
Right.
They already
Some of
here.
them have citizenship, so they're not going anywhere.
Some
are green cards, and some are in transition with some with a visa or
some are
EB-5
waiting.
path.
Some are waiting for permanent resident cards.
Yes.
But they are decide they are not leaving. They already got partial of their assets here. They are not going to bring that back. And more because we have been working in this business for like 2 decades. So we have seen the rise of the movement and to the peak until slow down until now. So we have a really good customer database. They already lived in this country, live in this city. Doesn't matter, New York, California. They already get familiarized with the system. They already has been educated where they are. Either they're working, they are stable environment. They feel more comfortable to purchase more, to invest more. That's why we have our customer space, not only by New York, Connecticut, Boston, but once the kids graduate, they're going to stay over in US or they are global citizens. They're going to expand to buy more pied-à-terre homes, Hamptons, Florida, or more investment, diversify to different cities, Austin, all the different places.
One person, Jeff Jeff is a great customer, and he's bought several Dollar Generals all over the United States, and he's getting a house in Boca Raton. He's got a place in Manhattan. He has a place out on Long Island. His daughter got married out on Long Island, and they now live in the city. So it's like tends to be this sort of outreach to good profit areas, good tax advantages, like rational decision makers. So.
Yes.
Are just I'm curious because in Manhattan, buying an investment property, like buying an apartment and renting it, the math doesn't work. So are your buyers who are buying as investments in Manhattan, are they actually buying for investments? Or are they buying for, because if they're buying for an investment property, they're going to rent it out. They're actually, it would seem to me, they're actually just trying to preserve that capital and putting it somewhere, knowing that that's not going to net them any income, but it may give them some appreciation, or they're buying it because they're actually going to live there.
Yeah, both. Yeah, Julia, go ahead.
Yeah, that's both situation. Most of the time when they come over initially, they don't tell you I want to rent out. Most time they say, hey, I'm buying, we're gonna move in. My daughter is coming in 3 years. Yeah, my son is coming in 5 years. Or my daughter already here going to college. So my second kid is coming over. We're gonna use the house, use the apartment. But sometimes after closing, they just tell you, can you help me rent out? Because we're not coming back for a year or two, can you just rent out? So we just keep renting out for them until either they come back to stay over or they are not. So it happens.
Yeah, the added value is
really added value
managing
for
35 apartments that we've got that we initially sold to investors, and then we manage their places now. So they trust Julia, and because you have to be Asian to really pull it off at this level.
every deal. It doesn't happen that easy. There's just no easy deal. Doesn't matter today, before, right? Initially 20 years ago, our customer buying $350,000 one bedroom. That's expensive. But now one bedroom could be a $2,750,000. The buyers, they know not only you speak the language, but you understand the culture and the local culture.
And they're not going to overpay using Julia, so they know that.
And they know they get the value, right? Not only today they closed with despair, we handhold them through every process.
Talk to me about trust. You just said they know they're not going to overpay because they're working with Julia. How important is that trust? And how do you establish that trust? And can I establish that trust? Because I don't come from the culture. I think I can't.
It's very difficult.
I'll never be trusted.
I have to delegate everything. Oh, not everything, but a lot, so much to her. I mean, the only way to develop trust is over a long period of time. So I've got several friends for 15 years that are Asian. We go to Tibet together. He gets me into Tibet, and we go to the World Cup down in, Rio or Sao Paulo or something. So you have to travel with them. They have to become your friends. You have to spend 10 years with them, 15 years, of you handling their rental property or whatever. And you gain trust. So there's not a quick path here.
But I have to say one thing. If they have never purchased from us, we'll never travel with them. Probably that's the
right. It's the purchase process that sort of creates the bond.
It's throughout the process. They're build that bond. The bond is not only Julia is here. Oh, I'm helping. Oh, Mr. Who. It's about Charles and Julia. It's Eastern and Western culture combination. So we call it yin yang. What Charles is good at, I'm not good at it. What I'm good at, Charles not good at, right? So that's why we are we can help our customers in many different layers, dimensions. But anyway, I'm talking too much.
No, that's why you're here.
That's exactly why you're here. Exactly.
Because Jiang asked the trust. Where's the trust come from? It's not just one thing. It's from layers of Eastern culture and Western culture, right? So they say both. That's the big trust come from.
Well, one of the tricks, if it's a trick, I take people to, like during COVID, I got a third-rate degree from Harvard, the extension school. I got a master's. And so I can take people to the Harvard Club, and this impresses these guys for some reason. They get impressed by that. And, you know, third-rate degree, first-rate impression. So
But a lot of
that's
customers,
That counts
that
every
builds
bit.
trust.
But a
Builds
lot of-
trust.
and a lot of our customers, actually 5 or 6, all their kids are at Harvard, right? Or
So
they graduated from Harvard.
So
Scott
many.
Hobbs had a question earlier, a harder question. Why don't you
Yes,
ask it
Scott.
now, Scott? Ask the hard question.
What's the hard question? I'm ready.
I was wondering as to where how have the Chinese clients earned their money, and how do they actually get it out of the country? Are they allowed free access to with their export of their cash? And is it just a simple transfer, or is it a longer process to try to get money into the United States?
And Scott, your question, we can answer that in the last 40 years Chinese history. How did they open the door? How did the newer rich risen about everything, right? So basically, where their wealth or how they got it, how they got to US is not our business. When you call, hey, Julia, I want to buy this property, 2 million, 20 million, 10 million, doesn't matter. My first question would be, oh, hi, Scott. Oh, where's your fund? Are they ready? Are they in US? Oh, no, Julia, can you help me transfer money? Oh, no, Scott, this is your own issue. Deal with it.
You know, but I will say that most of it is either made in real estate or manufacturing. So manufacturing is a source of most of the wealth in China. And we have a lot of real estate developers that do 2,000-3,000 units there and then want to bring the money here. So
Does it
those are
matter
what I
how you
experience.
made your money, whether it's easier to move it or not? If I made my money in real estate there, or I made my money in manufacturing,
Well,
is
the
it-
rules keep changing, you
No,
know,
it's
so
timing. It's about timing. We talk about 10 years ago, 2015 to 2018, or 2010 to 2018, before the China government tightening the outflow capital.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. You know, you're in pharmaceutical, you're in entrepreneurs, you're in manufacturing, so you're real estate developers, whatever business field, education, right? Doesn't matter. You can get whatever you want it out. But the problem is most people are not that advanced thinking. So they were late.
or
They
the
were
connections
late.
aren't
have
there.
you
Yes.
seen
Well,
anybody do creative deals? If I can't get the money out of China, can I trade Chinese assets for international assets? Do you see people trying to work through creative solutions? It occurs to me that if there's demand in China and there's supply in the rest of the world, a market's going to develop on figuring out how to bridge that gap. And it occurs to me people aren't going to just say, oh, well, I guess, I guess we can't sell them anything.
It's not,
Mhm.
that's a really good question too, because right now there are a few new developments, new construction, developers accepting RMB, which is a Chinese currency. So there are a few, but rarely to be seen in Manhattan.
We've seen a couple of resales where half of the transaction was done in Chinese currency and the other half in dollars.
But-
We've seen that happen a few times.
But
Did that help the explosion? Because the renminbi was kind of pegged to the dollar for little over a decade, I think, from like 93 to maybe 2005. And
Mhm.
then when they decoupled that, their currency actually strengthened. Now it's losing a little bit to the dollar, but it seems like the currency strengthened. And did that help people because they had more purchasing power?
yes or no, that's relevant to the people ready to purchase, not to the people not ready, never know until the day the door closed. The door closed, you couldn't get out. Oh, we're too late on the boat. We're too late to catch the boat, So that's a lot of developers are accepting RMB, but not everything. It's only partial. The only reason they accept the Chinese currency is they have business over there, so they can use that. But they still use all the attorneys in US, in New York. They don't use the local attorneys in local. Okay. And also not the entire building accepting. They're just partial. So otherwise, on all the money you built, everything you sold goes to the local instead of New York or California, whatever the city you are, but still very limited. The thing is, the building that accepts Chinese currency, maybe not, the buyer may not want to go to that building. They want to be in Manhattan. So there's even yes and no situation. Does it make sense to you, Roberto? I see you're nodding.
Yeah, no, of course. But you just brought something up. So are people, when they think of New York, are they thinking primarily of Manhattan, or do they think, hey, there could be great opportunities in Queens. I want to explore that.
Yes.
Well, we see mainly Manhattan. We've seen a little bit in Long Island City, but mainly Manhattan.
You
They
know,
want the prestige associated. You having a pied-à-terre in Manhattan has a lot of cachet.
you know, the things, a lot of newcomers, they don't really understand what the New York means. You have to tell them New York City is New York City. Manhattan is just like the most famous city, of course. A lot of people, they want to be, in Long Island City, Queens, and some people want to go to Brooklyn. So that's why the Brooklyn new constructions, they got a lot of customers too.
We've seen it some in the very top tier, Brooklyn.
Hall Street, the
Yeah.
Brooklyn Towers, this. So Brooklyn Point, also a lot of people going to Long Island. Long Island.
That's the second place they
Not
buy,
only
usually.
Manhattan, no New York City, but New York State.
Wow.
So what I've heard, I'm going to replay it back. I've heard that some are motivated by prestige, some are return on investment, some want to be part of the Chinese community, and some are choosing location based on school. What's the most and some, I guess it's a family decision. Oh, I want to go because my family is there, even though it's not a community, a Chinese community, or it's not next to a school, or it's not Manhattan, and it's not prestigious, but my family's already there. Of these 5 criteria, what are you seeing strengthening as a reason for coming? I think it sounds to me like education has been on the rise for quite some time. Prestige is actually coming down, and education is important, and value, right? Return on investment, value play. Those
Safety
is what I
safety
think
for-
I hear you saying.
Yes, correct. You're almost spot on. That there is a safety in parking the money. It depends on whether it's the first person in the family moving into New York, or whether they've already established themselves as to what the motivations are.
Yeah, John's answer was like a pretty,
It's
yeah.
very
So education
Mhm.
is like really in the top decision making. I have customer, the family wants to be in Long Island. Oh, you better get a bigger house, it's so much bigger. But the kids say, hey, my school is New York City in Manhattan. I'm not going to commute every day 2 hours. So the family give in. Okay.
Sometimes they go ahead and let them have the one in the city, and they go buy out Long Island.
But that's after a while, after the family coming over, okay? So, but just one kid here, they won't buy in the big house, in Westchester or in Long Island yet. But once my family come over, yes, we will buy a bigger house. But for now, just to be convenient and save, less travel time for, my son go to school, because school study so hard. So education is on top. The prestige that comes later depends where the family is located, right? And
Or
also,
it can come earlier, or it can be empty nesters that want the prestige of the pied-à-terre. So
yeah, of course, the lifestyle is what their kids want. Their
we have
family wants the lifestyle.
We have the Asian empty nesters, believe it or not. We do get some.
So very different.
Are there certain regions of China where you're seeing more of the people come from, say Beijing or Shanghai?
That's a great question, because we keep talking about China as if it's like one thing.
Right.
There's even Hong Kong, which is separate but similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna miss that question after all this coming along. Totally. In the beginning, or even right now, the major Chinese buyers are from Shanghai, and also all the cities around Shanghai.
Why?
Because Beijing is like a political center. Shanghai is international business center. The people in Shanghai, they have more open-minded. They were the early birds go to Japan. They were the early people, live in the country. So over past 20 years, the majority of the Chinese buyers are from that region. And then some from north, later more, some from north, south, of that, because Shanghai is just in the middle. But other cities got developed as well, and more people come from all different cities. But major was also because of the, airport. Shanghai has direct airport come to New York. It used to be, Beijing has as well. It used to be 2 flights a day. Maybe now it's 1 flight every week.
Yeah.
And so you can see the changes. They're big changes. But to answer your question, the majority are from Shanghai and that region. Of course, there are later people from Beijing and also southern Shenzhen and also Hong Kong, Taiwan, of course.
Why
That's
not?
all.
Why is Hong Kong not level with Shanghai?
Because Hong Kongese, they have their freedom in the first place. They have been immigrating to Vancouver before 1997. 1997, that was Hong Kong before they were belonged to England at that time, UK, because 1997, Chinese government took over Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And they had the major immigration from Hong Kong to Vancouver to London or UK before 1997. So that movement was happening already a big time. That's why you go to Vancouver, you can see, there are big population of Hong Kongese. And later,
Vancouver is not, so that would be a good question is, are U.S. policies and attitudes which have been harming, the number of flights, the number of immigrations, but Canada is not adopting these policies. Is Canada thriving at the U.S.'s expense? Is Vancouver doing well when the U.S. does not?
So, but the same time period, even before US was booming 10 years ago, a decade ago, Vancouver already booming.
Right.
They have new populations coming in from China, all over China, Hong Kong. That's already established. Because the Canada also have not the EB-5 program, they also have sort of program. And they open the door sooner than US to China. And that time, nobody knows US has this program. Everyone applying to Canada. They all got green card to Canada, go there earlier, sooner. A lot of our customers, they were rejected by Canada green card. They were like, okay, then we apply for US. So that's how they ended up applying for US green card visa or EB-5
For those who don't
program.
know, can you just explain what the EB-5 is?
EB-5 back then, a decade ago, was US have this program providing the family green card in exchange for $500,000 investment in a project in New York, in Colorado, in wherever it
It was
is.
an approved project for the EB-5. Now it's 800,000. So.
And you have to, with your $500,000 investment back then, you have to be able to provide 10 people to work. You have to create 10 jobs.
Equivalent of 10 jobs.
And then they have called region center, and they have their region attorney. So they have their region accounting. It's a very well monitored program.
But there's been some fraud in it too.
Earlier on program, they were really good. And people, the investors, they quickly got their green card in no time. And then got their money back, 500,000 plus interest, plus the green card for whole family. The kids has to be under 21.
Yeah, it started out on the right track.
But now, not only the threshold of EB-5 has increased, also the project got a lot of.
Yeah, there's been some people trying to take advantage. So whenever anything comes in, there's always a few scammers that come in and give it a bad name.
So still a lot of our customers have not receiving their green card right now. They have been waiting for like 8-10 years already. So the earlier ones, they were not only lucky because they are smart, they were faster, quicker, taking the action, and they got in sooner. But later ones just missed the opportunity and ended up the project they don't like. Oh, I don't believe that project. I don't believe this, don't believe that. And
I'm still wondering if the U.S. loss is someone else's gain. And it occurs to me that if my child has gotten into Harvard or wherever, and I've made these plans,
Yeah.
but policy decisions are getting in the way, and it's causing uncertainty on whether I can buy that New York apartment, that Boston apartment. Are you starting to see that energy's gonna be, it's gonna spend, that money's gonna be spent somewhere? Are they looking at Australia, South America, Europe as other
Europe.
alternatives? And imagine
Europe.
that capital
They're
moves
looking at
quickly.
places like Edinburgh, it's or Dublin, it's Athens, yeah. So yes, I don't know if it's exactly a zero-sum game.
Barcelona, all those European countries. Yes, that's a good question too. Definitely, if I couldn't open this door, I will walk another different direction. And besides that, the government also tightened their domestic investment direction. They build high-end condominiums, homes, new constructions, and they offer more opportunities for within the country investment. They encourage more on that. See, so the money not only going to other countries, they also stay within the country to start investing.
Is any outside money going to China?
You're talking about influx of capital to invest in China?
Do you have any clients throughout the last 20 years who are like, I want to buy in China?
We've had people continue their business operations and build hotels that we're still doing business with here. So they will reinvest in China. And sometimes they'll retain their whole business in China and just do their domicile here, so.
But
Because the market there is very sluggish. Just dropping.
It's
a good opportunity, as you say, for that capital. So I'm wondering whether
since the pandemic, the economic is so bad over there. But for what our customers, because we've been doing this so long, we have so many smart people coming earlier. They already know what's going on. The global wise, they are already global citizens, right? I heard a lot. They want to get money out. We have customers. They are based in California. There are a lot of properties in the city as well, and they have business all over the world. They're selling their companies in China. They're getting them out. They were like, Julia, I sell my company in China. I couldn't get my money out. I said, you're American. Why cannot get it out? I have to find a way. So basically, majority people, we know only they are trying to get money out instead of going in because there's no confidence. Lack of confidence. Yeah, that's all.
Is it more difficult to get the money out now than it was, say, 2016?
2016, there's no restriction.
Well, just prior to that, there was none. I think 2016 is about when it hit.
Yeah, 2017, 2018. Yeah. So that's why I
don't know those dates exactly. So.
I know the years. Yes. Signed a lot of new development during 2017 for new construction. Our customers signed a contract with 10% down payment or 15% or 20%. And by 2019, the building started closing. They couldn't get money out. They lost all their deposit. They all lost.
Some of that happened.
And I had all the deals we've been working on. So we didn't get paid. Sponsor, developer kept all those down payment. And so first of all, we didn't get paid, right?
Yeah, that doesn't make the reality shows.
It should.
Yeah,
okay.
that doesn't make
and there's how customer bought a $5 million 2-bedroom, couldn't get money out. cannot lose $1 million down payment. What to do? We try to help her exchange for smaller unit in the building.
Yeah, we were
And then,
successful at
and
that.
the rest, I'll get her to finance the rest. So we use every
strategy to
every strategy, every knowledge we can to help our customers. Not only to, you know,
How do you get in front of these customers? Is it enough to just put your name and your face out there on a website and they'll find you? It seems to me that's not enough. And it's not enough to just put an ad in the world press anymore. It occurs
You
to
said
me
it
that you've got to put out, I'm going to guess, do you have to put out social media on a regular basis in Chinese in order to get in front of them and show them how you think and where your specialty is? And trust me, is social media in China becoming an increasingly important part of how you get in front of the Chinese, the Chinese in China?
yes,
Sure, we spend a lot of effort on it.
you are talking about the current right now.
Mhm.
That is so true.
Well, it's also the WeChat groups that you're talking about. You mentioned earlier, John, about these WeChat groups of people. So it's sort of referral based within a WeChat group, so kind of. So
Well, how do you do that? I mean, she had 500 people in her WeChat group. She can't possibly know all of them
It's
well.
it's about Jiang. Today you go to Boston because your son is going to Harvard over there, and immediately you just attracted to all the parents who their kids going to Boston. Their kids could be Harvard, could be MIT, could be
Tufts, doesn't matter.
Boston
Mhm.
College, right? So you were just like drawn to drag you into that group, and that group is all the parents and the families and the kids in that group. And the family, they have more resources. And you can ask, oh, where should I rent? What should I do? You get more help from that community. But
How
if
do you infiltrate the parents of Harvard students group? How do you do that?
Well, we're not telling. We are not telling that. No, we're not going to make it easy for everybody. No,
come to Charles because Charles is
no,
Harvard
not that,
graduate.
not that.
But
I mean,
you
short of
understand, right?
sending a kid to Harvard, that's hard to break in.
Charles, we'll give you an offer you can't refuse.
We are no. There's certain things. You know, this is a poker game, people. We're not showing all our cards.
But
Okay,
that's really the key. I can't just social media or take out an ad, and I can't just put up a website. I really do have to connect with the people who are already over here, who are in these social media groups, connected with people over there.
We have seen some of the people that come out of school go into the business world and refer us their colleagues. So that happens a lot. So a lot of it is traditional referral based. It's not, it's not always,
from that
who's
group.
got the TV show.
Yeah.
It's always, it can very much be who has great relationships in all of the big firms around town.
Even that is still a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
You have to speak a language first, right? We keep saying that this. Even you work with Charles working with Chinese buyers. Depends on their sophistication, depends on their education, right? If they completely have no problem communicate with the Charles, American agent, and Charles still needs to build that bond.
And the trust, yeah.
Yeah, trust. If not, in no time, they will like find a local Chinese agent to work with them instead of Charles. I'm just using Charles as example. So
It occurs to me that the Shanghai business owner is in a WeChat group with his counterpart in New York City. He's in that WeChat group, and he probably asks in that group, "Hey, my daughter has just gotten into NYU, and I've got to start thinking about a banking relationship and a real estate agent relationship and a lawyer relationship. Who do you use?" And two or three people might pop up. Oh, I really think Julia Jiang is, she's been phenomenal for us for quite some time. Oh, well, how do I meet her? Well, she's not part of the group, but I mean, this is how it's happening.
yes, let me send it to you, her information. Yes. And some parents, oh, let me save your information in case I need it. So That's exactly what's happening. Part of our, resource, part of the business. Not at all, but all part of it. But all part of everything, just build it up.
All right. Final question, unless Roberto has one, but where are we going? I want you to look into the crystal ball, and I want you to either tell me that the crystal ball tells me that this is just a minor blip. Our current challenges are just a minor blip, that we've been at this for 200 years. The Chinese built the Transcontinental Railroad. They've been here for a long time, and they're here to stay. And this policy decision is just a minor road bump in the Chinese-American relations? Or are you seeing that this is going to lead to a spiraling and and a great challenge for the next 10 years?
I would choose the last sentence. It's going to be a challenge for next 10 years.
Okay.
And I think it's a major disruptive moment that's gonna, as long as its disruption continues, the crystal ball is gonna be muddied.
Yeah.
Wait, you're the expert on the show. We asked you to come here and tell us the answer. Charles, you can't.
Well, I'm
you
saying
can't talk to me about
the
money.
dust has to settle. Like this thing with the student visas, that has to be sorted out.
But yes,
The tariffs have to be sorted out.
That's a tough one because you have explained that is one of the major factors of why they're coming here.
Exactly.
why they're not coming or why. Okay, we need to know. If you tell me this is almost the end, end of the show, or even in the process, let me tell you something. This I probably give you more confidence. First of all, American real estate, American assets is the legacy. It's intergenerational legacy. For this next 5 years, this power can change. Next 5 years, they can change. Next 6 years, change. But American real estate, American assets, they are forever strong, valid, social status. And American dream is still American dream. That cannot be changed just because current policy. Policy can change. The dream will never change.
And our two economies are too close together. You can't just say to all 3,000 American colleges and universities, I'm sorry, but you've got to give up 25% of your revenue overnight. It's just too hard to do, right? To decouple.
So that's exactly what I'm saying, just for temporary. But we're going to have some rough road ahead, but we will still be able to build a dream for all the peoples are following us. We are here building our dream. You're Americans already, naturally, you're not, you're lucky, you're born here, but you're still living your dream. I'm immigrants. I came 20 plus years ago. I'm working in my dream still every day. I will help whoever wants to be part of the American dream. And I'll be proud of it, and I will help in any knowledge, every value I can add on.
So what I hear is short-term anxiety, short-term muddiness, long-term, you're bullish. The Chinese will continue to come, continue to be educated, and continue to buy real estate in New York City.
You think of people, you tell them don't drink anymore, they don't drink anymore, they find a way to drink. You tell them
I
don't
love
come
that analogy. Real estate is like drinking. Once you start with real estate, you can't just go cold turkey. We love real estate.
You get second one, you get the one, and you buy, you sell, and you keep going. So the harder to get in anywhere, the people want to get in. So no worries, okay? They will keep coming, and we will keep have our momentum.
Roberto, can you top that? It's like drinking. It's like getting drunk on real estate.
I'm hammered.
I love this. They're going to remember one thing, Julia Jiang. Julia Jiang is drunk on real estate.
Oh, yes.
Once you start, you can't give it up. I love this. This is great.
Who doesn't enjoy when they're drunk,
You're going
right?
to blow up on the internet, I tell you, because that's a great analogy. I love this. I am drunk on real estate.
Yes. The more difficult you won't let me in, I will be there. I will get there.
I'm going to get her a t-shirt that says that.
I love that.
You
All right.
guys come over to New York City, we go to Charles Hawkins Harvard Club.
All right. This has been Julia Jiang Hawkins and Charles Hawkins. And you can find them at the Elliman.com website, or I just Googled their names and found them. This has been phenomenal. I want to thank once again gracefarms.org, and you can find us at burrowsandburbs.com. And this has been episode 186. Thank you, Roberto. This has been another great show. And
That's
thank
my
you.
lucky number today. I'll go to buy a lot of.
Thank you guys so much. It was awesome.
This has been awesome.
So much. We'll go to Florida soon.
You know what, if I needed, I think it's a challenging concept, and I am convinced that I need, if I'm Chinese and I want to buy real estate in New York, I need somebody with your experience to help me do it. So I think you've done a very good job in this hour to convince me that there's some very subtle nuances and experiences you possess that they need. So good luck to you.
When you have money ready, I'll be there for you.